So Warren Buffett once said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. Now, the impulse of this message is the emphasis on having passive income to be able to achieve financial freedom. Financial freedom is a dream that everyone has. It is the point that you reach where money no longer becomes a problem. It is a point you reach where you are making income whilst you are inactive, and that income is able to pay for your daily necessities, your expenses, and you still have excess left. But the question we ask ourselves is this: what does it take to really achieve this dream of making money whilst you sleep? How can you put yourself in a position so that you will get to a point where you don't have to work until you die? So, on the podcast today, I'm going to be sharing with you a practical way on how you can make money in your sleep. Most importantly, I'm going to give you the blueprint and the two-path requires and what it takes for you to achieve this goal. Stay with me because this will be one of the most practical master classes on personal finance that will help you elevate your mindset and put you in that position so that you can become successful. Now, to be able to make money whilst you are asleep, there are only two options available. It doesn't matter the iteration or what you hear other people tell you, but there are only two ways that you can achieve that goal at the end of the day. The first way is to become an investor. This is a hands-off approach where you let your money work for you. You are an investor. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you what it takes and the things that you need to look out for in a moment. The second path is where you go on the path of an entrepreneur. This is a hands-on approach where you bet on yourself. So the question you want to ask yourself as you sit down, as you watch this, as you listen to this is, which path do I want to be on? Do I want a hands-off approach where my money is just working for me, or a hands-on approach where I am the one betting on myself and I'm in the driving seat? Is a hands-on approach and I'm going to be involved in the day-to-day activities to help me to generate the money that I want to live the life that I've always desired to live. Which of these two paths will be best for you? Per statistics, about 99.9% of the world populace will be better off as investors. The question is, which one will be right for you? The answer to that would depend on a number of options. Now, irrespective of the path you choose to make passive income and achieve financial freedom, there are 6 factors that, in my opinion, you need to be mindful of and consider before deciding whether you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to be an investor. The question is, what are these 6 factors? The first thing is understanding. Listen, if you want to be an investor, you must make sure that you understand what your money is being used for. You must make sure you understand the nature of the investment. So maybe you want to make some money. Then somebody said, oh, if you have some money, go and buy gold coin, go and buy Bitcoin, go and do fixed deposits. Oh, go and buy shares. You see, the Ghana Stock Exchange market is booming. So if you want to make money, this is the time you have to go. Hey, company A, year-on-year growth has been 3,000%. If you had put only 1,000 cedis in, by this time, your money would have been 100,000 Ghana cedis and all of those things. Yes, they all sound good. But the question you need to ask yourself is, do I understand this? If you are going to start investing on the stock market, do you understand how the stock market works? If you are going to buy gold coin, do you understand how gold works? If you are going to buy Bitcoin, do you have knowledge about the cryptocurrency, the blockchain technology, how it works? If you are going to do fixed deposit at the bank, do you understand it? So understanding is very important. And this is required because you need a deeper comprehension of the industry or the investment opportunity before you make the investment. Maybe you want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, do you have an understanding of the industry, of your competitors, of the people in the market? What makes you think that you are right to go into that industry and to succeed in that industry? That is the first thing you must have, understanding. I have seen a lot of people and they will be complaining online. Hey, I made this investment and I lost all my money. Why? Because they heard somebody doing something and boom, they also started. So they heard someone saying that, oh, I go to China and I buy these things from China, and when I bring them, I sell them and I make X amount of money. So quickly, they also gather some money, then they import something from China without having the capacity to be able to sell it. So you need an understanding. Don't follow blindly people's path. So somebody is online. Oh, if you have money, go into farming. If you have money, go into this. If you have money, go into that. Before you start spending your money, ask yourself, what I am being asked to put my money into, do I understand how this thing works? Because many people lose money because they don't understand how it works. Then later on, they come online and they'll be complaining, and this person scammed me, and this is a scam, and this is a scam. Yes, you should have done your research, gain understanding of how the thing is supposed to be and the nature of the investment before you made that investment. That is the first thing you must know about, understanding. The second key factor is competition. This is especially a factor that you want to consider if you are going to be an entrepreneur. But also, even if you're an investor, competition is something you need to understand. Because if you're an investor and you say you are going to be investing in shares on the stock market, on the stock exchange market, okay, whatever company you are investing into, it is important you understand the industry that they are in, the nature of the competitiveness of the industry, and whether this company can break and gain competitive advantage in the industry so it will be profitable and you will get return on your investment. If you want to be an entrepreneur, the same thing. Whatever business you are going into, 99.9% of the time, some people are already doing it. The question is, do you understand the nature of competitiveness in the industry? Do you have an idea of the big players in the industry and what you have to do in order to outfit them? What strategy are you going to be adopting to be successful? Competition is a key factor that you consider. And there are many people, when they are making investment decisions, they ignore competition. They only look at, the numbers. Somebody said, hey, if you buy shares in this company, the shares is going up by 20%, 30%, forgetting the scope of competition. Let me give you an example here. So let's say someone tells you to go buy telecommunication shares. Very great. So maybe you go and buy a company that is listed on the stock exchange market, whatever market it is, you buy their shares. But before buying the shares, it's important you understand the industry. Because if you have a standard telecommunication company and we have these Blue Origin coming in, Starlink is there, and the various things, you must find out what is the implication of that on the company that you are investing in. Then the other players in the market, what are they doing that may reduce the market share of the company that you are investing in? That is understanding of competition. So even to decide to be an investor, it is important you know not just about the financial performance, financial position, profitability, and outlook of the company you are investing in. It is important you have an understanding of the nature of the industry as a whole and measure the level of competitiveness in the industry and what the target firm is going to do or is doing in order to gain sustainable competitive advantage so that they can make money for you at the end of the day. The third thing you need to know about is what I refer to as tax implication. This is something many people do not look at. Whether you want to be an investor or an entrepreneur, you must look at the tax implications on your investment. Because if you want to be a shareholder in a company, meaning you want to invest on the stock market, your tax effect is going to be different. If you want to buy gold in all those things, your tax implication will be different. If you want to invest in a rental property, your tax implication is going to be different. The question is, do you understand the tax position of the investment that you are going into? If you want to be an entrepreneur, the same thing. You must understand the tax implication. So for instance, you want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, what kind of tax incentives, government policies are available for entrepreneurs? Because currently in Ghana, there is what is referred to as the Young Entrepreneurs Tax Incentive. What it means then is that if you are below 35 years and you establish a company that is into agro processing, waste processing, IT, and some industries like that, you are going to be getting significant tax holiday for 5 years. After that, there is a concessory tax that you pay. After that, before you will start paying the standard tax currently. So it tells you that, okay, if you want to be an entrepreneur from tax perspective, if you are below 35 years, then these are the industries that the government is supporting. So it means if you start a business in any of those sectors, you are going to be getting more money. Why? Because your tax obligation will be less at the end of the day because of the government's policy. That is what we mean by tax implication. So you don't just get up and say, oh, they said, hey, go into farming. Au revoir, mon ami. Then you are going into farming. Oh, they say that now, this is the new thing. Social media, content creation, that is the new thing. Then you go into it. What is the tax implication? Oh, now they say that, Charlie, the new thing is you're going to do importation business. What is the tax implication? Because you see, many a times as a finance person, when I look online, and I look at various things that people are preaching, various things that people are talking about, and they paint it as so glorious, but then there are key questions underneath that nobody is asking. So yeah, going into importation, it's good. What is the tax implication on that? Because if you make profit of 10 million Ghana cedis, and you have to pay significant portion of that in taxes because you don't know that there is a tax implication and you don't know about tax planning measures, then you're going to just work for the government and you're not going to achieve your financial freedom. What does that mean? It means that before you make any decision, you need professionals to guide you. Whether you want to be an investor in another company, don't just get up and buy shares. Seek professional advice on your tax implication. Don't just get up and say, I want to start a business. Seek professional advice and know how the business can be structured so that you can reduce your tax obligation so you can make more money. Why? Because the big companies are using it. Why do you think that big companies are willing to pay millions of dollars to tax consultants to help them reduce their tax obligation? It's there. The law is there. It's called tax avoidance. So it's there. The question is, do you know about it? So whatever investment you want to make, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to be a regular investor, what is my tax position? You must answer that question before going ahead. So yes, have an understanding of the industry, know the nature of competition in the industry, know your tax implication. The fourth principle or factor that will guide us will be the exit option. The exit option is simply how you will divest if you are no longer interested. How will you go out if you are no longer interested? So someone says, invest in shares. Okay. If you are no longer interested and you want to sell your shares, what are the mechanisms to go through? Okay. If you sell your shares, what is the implication, the tax implication on it? You must know about that. That is the exit option. Okay. Someone says, go and do fixed deposit. Good news. You go do the fixed deposit. Maybe the fixed deposit was supposed to be for 2 years. If the 2 years is not up to and you want your money, what will the bank tell you? So you must know it from the beginning before you go into it. Many a times people, and again, you see, financial freedom is not just about the money you are making or the investment you are making. It's about having financial literacy. Because there are people who are like, oh, this bank said I should come and do fixed deposit. And I did fixed deposit. I put in whatever, 50,000 Ghana cedi. And the fixed deposit was for 18 months. And something happened and I went to take my money. Can you imagine that they didn't give me my 50,000? They said if I withdraw my money before the time, I would rather have to get only 47,000. Then what is the purpose of the investment? What is the purpose of the investment? It was in the document you signed on the investment, but you didn't read. Number two, Because you lack financial literacy and you don't expose yourself and you didn't engage the service of professionals and you didn't ask the right questions, you didn't know about it. So now that you want an exit, now that you are no longer interested in the fixed deposit, your 50,000, you are not even getting it. You are getting below your 50,000. Why? Because that is the terms and conditions surrounding it. So it is important to understand your exit option. Okay, someone says, hey, gold is the next boom. Okay, so if you buy gold and you need some money, you are not interested in the gold again, how do you get rid of the gold? How do you sell it? Okay, someone says, hey, cryptocurrency, buy this cryptocurrency, buy that cryptocurrency. Okay, if you buy it and you no longer want it because you need money for something else, how do you get rid of it? Exit option. Okay, someone says, go into pig farming, go into this, go into that. If at a point you are no longer interested in that kind of business, how do you get out of it without losing significant amount of money? So from the word go, you must know your exit option. This is again a key investment technique that many people do not look at. And they are only going to experience it when the time comes for them to exit. Like the fixed deposits thing that I told you. Once you are locked in, you come and you say you want your money before the time, you're going to suffer consequences. And in some cases, you will get less than the money you had deposited. And it is in the contract. You signed it. But you don't know about it, so you were just thinking about the interest. So per your mind and understanding, maybe you thought that, okay, 50,000 for 18 months locked together like that. Oh, I can get some 5,600 on it. So we are now in 8 months, but I need the money. So at least they should prorate that and give me some money. No, they're not going to prorate. You may end up losing some of your money. So what am I trying to say? The path to financial freedom is not just about following advice. The path to financial freedom is not just about vibes and inshallah. The path to financial freedom depends on your understanding and having the requisite financial literacy to make the right decisions. So from today, when someone tells you to go into something, you need to ask yourself, what is the tax implication on this? When someone tells you to go into something, you need to ask yourself, what is the exit option? Because you see, every investment you make, you must know the exit option before you make the investment. So that when things begin to take a nosedive, quickly you can salvage some losses and allow the thing to go down. So that is the fourth key principle that you must be mindful of. What is my exit option for this investment? Principle number 5 is going to be your risk appetite. Now, this defines how much you can lose and walk away without stress. What is your risk appetite? And this varies from one person to another person. Maybe I can lose 100,000 cedis from an investment and it's okay. I'll walk away free. Maybe somebody can lose $1 million and it's okay. It's a normal day for them. They will walk away free. Maybe when you lose 50,000 from an investment, you will go mad because that is your whole life. So the question is, what is your risk appetite? Now, this is one myth you must understand. And I call it a myth because there is some iota of truth in it, but you need to proceed with caution. And you've heard this before. They say that the higher the risk, the higher the returns. Yeah. The higher the risk, the higher the returns. It's true, but not entirely true. Because sometimes the risk is higher, and so you expect a higher returns, only for you to go into the investment and it takes a nosedive. So the question you need to ask yourself is, what is your risk appetite? So that if you are someone who is risk averse, then you will choose safer investments. You will choose assured investments. So for instance, if you're somebody who is not that aggressive, then you can play it safe. Buy some government bonds, buy some treasury bills. You're going to be covered 99.9% of the time. The government is going to pay you back your money. Only that, Just recently here in Ghana, we had a haircut. Apart from that, all other things being equal, that's a safe investment. So if you're not somebody who is that aggressive and you are risk averse, maybe that will be safe for you. Now, if you're somebody who is willing to dive deeper, maybe other kinds of investment may be good. Rental properties. And we'll get into some of these investment opportunities in a moment. But the question you need to ask yourself is, what is my risk tolerance level? How much can you lose and it will be okay? So that should guide you. Again, this is where you see a lot of people complaining online. They said that when you download this app, every day you put this money in this app. Every week they will be giving you this amount of money, this amount of money. Then they go and put their money. There was a time where stories came up. Pastors of churches took church money, church offering. People sold their land to put into an investment opportunity because they were told that, when you put, the more money you put in, the more returns you get. Only for them to realize later on that the whole thing was just a Ponzi scheme and it crashed. So the question is, what is your risk appetite? Now, one way you can reduce your risk is to diversify your investment. So it is not, you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. And we saw some of these things coming up where some pensioners took their pension money and saw that, they can be assured of giving money to the government. So they took their pension money and used it to buy government bonds, only for them to be told later that, hey, government cannot pay you the money you gave them. So because of that, you are going to suffer a haircut. That is risky. So to prevent yourself from losing significant amount of money, making significant losses, you need to diversify your portfolio. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. You need to diversify your portfolio. Now, that will mean that you will have in-depth understanding in what you're doing. You need to have some diversity. Because single source, all your money cannot be in one vehicle. It's going to be risky. Now, this is what you must understand. In the beginning, you can have that laser beam focus, all your eggs in one basket, trying to watch over them very well. But as you expand, as you grow, as you become more knowledgeable about the industries, the sectors, and the various things, then you must begin to diversify. So maybe you took a pension money or you got a windfall somewhere. Don't just go use the whole money for a fixed deposit. No. Again, with knowledge, understanding, tax implication, exit option, you can have some level of diversification. Yes, some fixed deposit. Yes, some shares. Yes, some government bonds. Yes, some other equity investments that are not related to the stock market. Yes. So risk can be diversified, and that will reduce your overall risk at the end of the day. But the question I want to ask you is this: what is your risk appetite? That is a factor you have to consider. If you want to be an entrepreneur, that is a risky journey. Many a times people think entrepreneurship is an easy journey because entrepreneurship means you are betting on yourself. Entrepreneurship means you're going to sink, you're going to sacrifice, you're going to put in a lot of resources. Are you willing to go that deep and bet on yourself? And if it doesn't work, what will be the outcome of your life? That is your risk appetite. That is why only a few people can dive deep and swim in the ocean of entrepreneurship, because it is a risky journey. But the question is, what is your risk appetite? How much can you lose? How far can you go before you say enough is enough? That is a question you need to answer on your journey to financial freedom. Then the last factor that you must consider is unexpected events. Listen, no matter how you plan, no matter how you put the right things, no matter the professionals that will be advising you, irrespective of your market strategy, your market analysis, there are sometimes that things will happen beyond your control. For instance, external shocks like government policies. You can be an entrepreneur and one government policy, boom, wipes the whole industry, change the outcome of the whole industry. What are you going to do? You can have an investment and one government policy, boom, is going to change it. So no matter how you plan, there are certain external unexpected things that will happen. One of them is government policies. Like what I was saying earlier, people took their pension money and trusted that government bond is guaranteed because, hey, if you lend money to the government, government will definitely pay you. But one thing people forget is that government doesn't work. Government doesn't put 99.9% of the time, the government is not doing anything profitable to get returns to pay you back your money. And so that is why when we got to that point in Ghana, in the history of Ghana, the government has to take the bow and say, hey, yeah, you lend money to me, but I cannot pay you. You gave me some money, but I cannot pay you. So guess what? You're going to suffer some haircut. The returns I'm supposed to give you, I'm not going to give you. That is government policy. How are you going to handle that? Remember, right from day one, you must make room for those things so that it helps you diversify, so that it helps you to, put some emergency fund somewhere, so that it helps you to make various decisions. Then we have geopolitical tensions. How would that happen? Recently, the United States of America was all out on tariffs for various countries. And that had a lot of implications for businesses, for entrepreneurs, for economies. How is that going to be affecting your investment in companies? How is that going to be affecting your business if you're an entrepreneur? Wars are going on. Russia-Ukraine war, whatever, tensions are brewing, Venezuela and the US, all of those things. Will they have any implication on the finance market? Yes, they will. How will they affect you? I don't know, but they will have some implications on oil prices, on prices of other goods and services. Are you ready for that? Then certainly mismanagement. Sometimes you see a great company and you're like, oh, I will buy the shares of this company. Only for you to buy the shares and the board of directors and the management team, they will run the company into the ground. Then the shares that you spent maybe 100,000 cedis to buy, guess what? Now you can sell it for 10,000 cedis. That is mismanagement. Yes, to some extent you have control over it, but you don't have control over the day-to-day running of the organization. And sometimes by the time you realize that really this company is going down, it's already too late. So again, this means that you need a deeper understanding. You must diversify. You must know your exit option, and you must have knowledge in the thing that you are investing in. Because if you don't have an in-depth knowledge, if the thing is taking a nosedive, you will not even see it. And by the time you realize it and it becomes news, you are already under the bus. So whatever investment you want to make, you must ask yourself, do I understand this investment? Do I understand this industry? You must ask yourself, what is the nature of competitiveness in this industry? You must find out, what are the tax implications of this investment, of this business venture that I want to go into? You must ask yourself, what is my exit option? If I no longer want to be in this industry, what are my exit options? Then what's my risk appetite? What can I lose and walk away? Based on that, then I need to diversify my portfolio so that I don't have my eggs in one basket, so that if something happens, I lose everything. Then certainly you got to be ready for the unexpected, because the unexpected will definitely come. The question is, will you be ready when the unexpected events happen? These are the 6 factors to consider, regardless of the path you choose, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to be an investor. My question is, the last time you made an investment decision, the last time you made an entrepreneurial decision, did you sit down to look at these? Now, there are other factors we could look at, but these are the key ones that I want to highlight and bring to your attention. So now that we understand the options available to us, the factors we need to consider, let's take the options one after the other and find out how each of the options can be used by anybody to achieve financial freedom. Listen, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to achieve financial independence. You don't have to be an investor to achieve financial independence. You can choose based on your understanding which of the two you want to be. So let's first look at the investor. This path of being an investor simply means that you are deploying capital into existing assets or system, generating returns with minimal active labor. So this is a hands-off approach to wealth creation. That is what an investor means. It's a hands-off approach. You have the capital, you are deploying it, and that is it. But you need to also understand that it depends on the level you get to, because there are sometimes you can make investment in companies, not with money, but with your expertise. And some people have that capacity where someone is going into a business and you are coming along as a co-founder and you are going to get equity, you are going to get some shares, maybe 10% or 15% shares in the company, but you're not bringing any money on board because you are bringing an expertise, you are bringing some knowledge that they don't have, that you have, that can help the business to succeed. But that is what we mean by being an investor. You are deploying capital. And that capital can be money or it could be expertise. It's important you understand this in the finance world. Now, the success of this path will depend on diligent research, a clear understanding of risk, and the discipline to let your investment mature over time. Now, many a times when people make investment, realize that they will be regularly monitoring. Like, for instance, if you buy shares for the first time, and I've seen people done this over and over again, they have bought some shares in a company. Then every now and then, they will open the stock up and they'll be refreshing to see, hey, has it gone up? After 1 week, they will refresh to see, hey, has it gone up? Has it come down? Then after 1 month, if they are not seeing any progress, then they are like, oh, this company is not doing well. They will sell the shares. Or maybe after they bought the shares, they open the app, then they see that, oh, the shares are falling. The price of the shares are falling. They are like, oh, hey, I'm losing money. Then they quickly go sell the shares. Only for them to finish selling the shares after a week, then the shares bounce back and then, boom, becomes profitable. So this is an art that requires diligent research. That is what I was mentioning earlier. Don't just follow and go and make an investment in a company because a financial expert online has told you that go and invest in this company. No, you need to do your diligent research. Even if you engage the service of a consultant, of an expert, of an investment guru anywhere, working in any company across the world, you must read the numbers for yourself. Warren Buffett is not the greatest investor of all time because he relies on consultants. He has them. But he knows how to read the financial statements, how to understand companies by himself. So he doesn't follow what the financial experts say because he has the understanding. And that will require deep research. Then you need a clear understanding of the risks. Next one is discipline to let the investment mature. Listen, you will not achieve financial independence overnight. If you buy shares in a company today, maybe 3 years, you will not see anything. If you start a business today, maybe 18 months, you will not see anything. And if you're not careful, you're going to say, oh, what kind of investment is this? I've bought shares for 3 years. The share price has been the same. But is that a grounds for you to sell the shares? So you need a discipline to allow the shares to mature. So the question then we have to ask ourselves is, if you want to go with a path of an investor, what are the options available? What are some alternatives available? So let's look at 5 key avenues that you can use to let your money work for you. The first one is fixed deposits. This is placing your fund with a bank for a predetermined period at a fixed interest rate. So for baby steps, many people are going to be starting from this place, fixed deposit. But remember what I told you earlier. You are putting the money there for a predetermined period, for a fixed or at a fixed interest rate. So if you are putting the money into a fixed deposit and it is supposed to be there for 18 months, and if you put 50,000 there for 18 months, you are going to get 55,600 after 18 months. Then when you made an event, after signing the document and everything, 8 months after that, you go to the bank and say, hey, I want my money. I'm no longer interested in the fixed deposit. Don't be surprised, as I mentioned earlier, if you get below your 50,000 cedis. Then you'll be like, oh, what is this? What is this? I brought 50,000. It's 8 months. I'm supposed to get 5,600. Why won't you prorate it? And then the 8 months interest that has earned, you add it to my 50,000 and give it to me. Now I am going to get even less than my 50,000. It means you didn't understand what you were doing. So now you are paying the price. But fixed deposits is an option available that you can use. The second one is the stock market. This is where you are investing in equity. So acquiring ownership shares in publicly traded companies. So here you become somebody who is investing on the stock market. Remember, if you are going to do this, you don't just follow what people say. Because you go on social media today, you see people, hey, Charlie, you see this company, their shares has gone up 3,000% this year. And if you had invested 1,000 cedis, hey, your money would now have been 10,000 Ghana cedi. Hey, go and buy the shares. Go and buy the shares. You got to be careful. Because for all intents and purposes, some of these people are actually working for brokerage firms. Some of these people are actually working behind the scene to earn commissions and fees on these things. So don't just jump when someone is selling something. As I said earlier, do your own due diligence. But if you want to invest in the stock market, certainly you need a brokerage account. So there are a lot of brokerage firms available that you can search and then use any of them. You need a brokerage account because that's what you're going to put your money in, and that is where you are going to be able to buy the shares, and then everything will be happening there. So you need a brokerage account. But in addition to that, you must know that there will be transaction fees. When you buy shares, you pay transaction fees. When you sell shares, you pay transaction fee to the brokerage firm. It is important you know how much transaction fee the brokerage firm is charging before you decide to use them. If not, you will end up paying significant amount of money in brokerage and transaction fees. So know that there are transaction fees you are supposed to pay. So understand, get each of them and know their transaction fees. When I'm buying shares, when I'm selling shares, the size of the transaction, what is the percentage I'm supposed to pay in fees, know that. Then tax implication. It's important you understand what is the tax position on the kind of shares that you are going to be buying. If you buy the shares and you sell it, what is the tax implication? How long must you hold a certain class of shares so that if you sell it, there will no longer be any tax implication? You must have an understanding of all of these things. Then the company's performance. Certainly, you have to invest in a company that is profitable, that has positive future outlook, that has good corporate governance, that is having expert management, that is employing or deploying strategies that will enable it to gain sustainable competitive advantage. So what is the performance of the company? And most importantly, is going to be the industry outlook. What industry is the company in? How is the industry? Is it an industry that is growing, maturing, or declining? It is important you know the industry outlook. So this is another option available, investment on the stock market. Please, before you jump and go and buy shares in any company, make sure that you do your research. Don't just follow somebody telling you go and buy shares, go and buy shares, go and buy shares, then you go and buy the shares. Sit down and follow the blueprint that has been given to you, because that is the only way you can make the right decision. Listen, if you go and buy some shares or make an investment and at the end of the day, it turns out to be a wrong investment, you are the one losing money. You can come on social media and rant around and wail and talk, but you have lost money. And that is not a good thing because you worked hard to make the money. Now you want that money to work for you. And you don't send out your soldiers and not protect them at the end of the day so that your soldiers will die. If not, how will you be able to win the battle and get some returns on their investment. So the stock market is there, but you got to be careful about that. The third one is government bonds. Okay, lending money to the government, treasury bills, in exchange for a periodic interest payment and the return of principal at maturity. So government bonds are there. You can go there. 99.9% of the time, the government bonds are risk-free, right? I'm saying 99.9% of the time because if you lend money to the government, you are sure that the government will pay you. Only that you must understand those unexpected issues that we mentioned. And even in Ghana here, we have experienced that under the previous administration, where after a period of time, our debt was not sustainable. We needed to go to IMF. And because of that, the government has to undertake the debt exchange program. And that was done on the domestic market, and it was also done on the external market as well. But for the most part, it's a risk-free thing. Again, make sure you read well, you do your research well, and be mindful when you are making any of these investments. Most importantly, it's going to be diversification. Don't carry all your money to put it in government bonds. Don't carry all your money and give it in fixed deposit. Don't take all your money and put it on the stock market. You need some diversification, but that will be based on your understanding of how each of these investment opportunities work. Do not put your eggs in one basket. Number 4 is where you become a venture capitalist or an angel investor. So this one is, instead of going to buy shares in established companies, you are providing an early stage investment in private businesses with high growth potential. And this is where a lot of people make money. Now, before you will get to this level, it means you have some money, like some serious money, and you have some serious network. So this one is not for beginners, okay? Because you need to be in the right room. You need to have the right association to be able to get some of these things. But the idea simply is this. We can practical the idea like this. Like maybe you have a cousin, you have a niece, you have a friend, or you know somebody who has started a business and they have come to you that, oh, I've started this business. These are the numbers. These are the potential. And then you also sit down and you look at the industry. You look at what the person is doing. Then you invest in the person. That is angel investing. Do you get the idea? For an equity of the company, definitely, right? Early investing. So maybe they need some money. They can't go to the bank for a loan because they don't have the capacity. So you give them the money, 100,000. But everything is structured. Documents are signed that your investment gives you 20% of the company. That is angel investing. It's an option available. Again, this is not for children. It is much difficult than buying government bonds. And it is really a hard work you're going to be doing than doing fixed deposits. But that is available, angel investing. Then the fifth one that I would want to share with you will be rental property investment. This is owning a part of a building or property that is rented out with the resulting income shared among the owners. Now, this is a business model that quite a number of real estate companies do around the world. And here in Ghana, it's there, where you are buying a piece of a property. And so it's like a syndicate, right? So what is happening is that a fund is established and then people buy into the fund and then that money is used to acquire a rental property and it's going to be rented out. It could be a hotel, it could be an Airbnb, and the money that is going to be coming there, it's going to be shared among the people who put money into the pool. That is rental property investments available. So it's an alternative that you can look at. These are the 5 options. There are other investment opportunities available to investors, but these are the 5 key areas that I think you can deploy capital that you need to understand. So fixed deposit, government bonds, the stock market, angel investment, rental property investment. Which of these will you start with? It all depends on your understanding, your expertise, your risk appetite, the tax implication, the exit options, all those factors that we spoke about, the competition that will guide you in respect of which of these will be appropriate for you. But as I said, as you mature, as you grow on your journey as an investor, it is important you begin to diversify so that at some point you have some fixed deposits, you have some government bonds, you have some shares, and then maybe you are investing in some other private businesses with high growth potential. That is how you make money whilst in bed. So that is the first path to financial freedom. The second path is where you decide to be an entrepreneur. Here, it means that you are going to build a new system from the ground up, and it's a hands-on approach. What does that mean? It means you're going to be active, you're going to go through a creative process where you bet on your own vision and execution. Listen, 9 out of 10 of the time, this is not an option for you. You see, sometimes we have painted a picture, and some people have painted a picture to make it sound like the only way you can achieve financial freedom, live life on your own term, is to be an entrepreneur. No. If I had a way, I would not be an entrepreneur. I would want to rather be an investor. That's fun. Because you see, entrepreneurship is going to take life out of you. But it's an option available. And only a handful of people have what it takes to build something. Listen, when we talk about being an entrepreneur, we are not talking about the sanitary pads you sell in front of your house. Okay? That's tutobibidi. Like Shibdela would say. That is tutobibidi. You are buying something to eat. We are talking about being able to build systems, being able to build teams, being able to have leadership qualities, and give yourself 10 years, 15 years, 20 years so that you can become successful. So this is not a child's play. Now, this requires identifying a problem and building a scalable solution. The key word here is scalable solution. There are some businesses that are not easily scalable. Let's say you go into restaurants. Okay, you open your first restaurant. It's working well. Okay, how do you make more money from the restaurant? You need to open another one. You need significant amount of capital. That's difficult, right? So you need to find out, what business am I going to go into and how can I scale this business as fast as possible? And this is where technology is key. So you want to go into any business that you can use technology to scale as quickly as possible. Because technology will help you to become more productive, make more money by not carrying a lot of burdens or incurring significant amount of cost all the time. So how do you leverage technology to scale that business? It's a journey of high agency and high potential reward, guided by a rigorous understanding of the market and yourself. I'm not here to tell you which business you should go into, because the key thing about being an entrepreneur is identifying a problem in the marketplace and building a scalable solution. So I'm not here to tell you go into farming, go into exportation business, go into buying condoms and selling, go into a carpentry business, go into hiring of dresses. I'm not here to tell you the type of business you should go into. I am here to let you know that it's about identifying a problem and then building a scalable solution. So whatever problem you are identifying and trying to build a scalable solution, there are questions you must ask yourself and answer, and that will guide you whether you can be on this journey. So what are these questions? Now, these questions will actually give you the blueprint for your entrepreneurship journey. So let's look at them. Question number 1, identify a problem. What problems do you see in society and in the world that you can solve? What's the problem? What is the need? Every business you see today, 99.9% of the time, came out of a problem. So what problem do you see in your community, in your city, in your country, the world at large? What is the problem you are seeing? But you see, the fact that there is a problem does not mean you need to provide a solution to the problem. So the second thing is to assess the market. What is the size of the potential market or industry for the solution? What is the size of it? Because it has to be a profitable industry and it must be big. So for instance, in your neighborhood, you see some few cars that they go and wash their clothing and you see them hanging in their cars when they pass by. They are like, oh, I will start a laundry business here. Okay. The question you need to ask yourself is, how many people in your neighborhood will want to bring their things to the laundry? Or is there a way you can leverage technology that no matter where your laundry business is located, you can get businesses from nearby cities or towns? Because maybe 3-4 people are, yes, taking their things to the laundry in your neighborhood. But the rest of the people, they don't see laundry as the best thing. They would rather sit down and wash it themselves. So you need to assess the market. What is the size of this market? How much profit am I likely to make? Is it a profitable market? Are many people in this market willing to pay money for a solution to overcome their problems? You need to assess the market. Third is to analyze the gap. The gap. What is your understanding of these problems, and why do you believe current players can't offer adequate solution? Because 99.9% of the time, this day and age, whatever you want to do, someone is already doing it. There may already be some players in the market. Why do you think the current players are failing? Where do you think they are failing so that you can come in and fill that gap? And why do you think you are the best person to come and fill that gap? You need to identify it. And this is where you are looking at the nature of competitiveness in the market. So, yes, they may be key players, but there is a segment or a niche of the market that they are not serving. Okay, can you leverage that and serve that market? It's possible. Can you do it? Yes, you can. Next question. Define your edge. What qualities, specific experience, expertise, or knowledge of the industry uniquely position you to be in that business? Because sometimes I hear people, they are like, oh, I want to go into this business. Then I'm like, okay, why do you want to go into this business? And they say there is a lot of money in it. That is the path of distraction. That's the path of distraction. The fact that they say there is money in a certain business does not mean you qualify to be in that business or to do that business. What expertise do you have? What qualities do you have? What special knowledge do you have to succeed in the industry? How different are you going to run your business, do your things to succeed? So yes, that is why people will say that, everybody is making money with this thing. Me, I went to buy it and I started selling. I'm not making money. Yes, because you lack the qualities, you lack the expertise, you lack the knowledge, and you don't have what it takes to succeed in that market or in that industry. You need to stop it and go to something else. So what defines your edge? What gives you the competitive edge? What is it that will make customers switch from the key players or customers sitting somewhere come and say, I want to do business with this person. I wouldn't go to the established entities or the key players in the market. What makes you different? What gives you the competitive edge? That is a question you must answer. Number 5, secure resources. That is, how much capital is needed to get started? And what other resources are necessary for success? This is where many people fall. And we are going to be coming back to this later. How much money do you need to start this business? Recently, Mr. Richard Amakwe mentioned that you cannot do any serious business with 100,000 Ghana Cedi as capital, right? Yeah, to some extent, he has a point. But to some extent, nobody started with significant amount of money like that. There are people who started with less amount of money like that. 15, 20 years later on, they have made millions of dollars. So how much money do you need? What other resources do you require? Because there are ways for you to get capital without having to bring in physical cash. Because one of the things you should be able to do is to start with what you have and start small. It's a gradual process. So maybe you want to build a media house. Okay, you want to have a media house. Okay, how do you start? Okay, if you want to go with a traditional route, you will need a license. You will need those radio equipment. You will need certain things. But okay, although you want to go into media, maybe go into new media. Start with new media, right? Have a YouTube channel. Have a TikTok page. And in that case, what do you need? Okay, you only need a basic ring light. You need a smartphone with a good camera feed and some basic things. Then you have started. If you are consistent, you keep going, then you begin to acquire the necessary equipment. You begin to acquire the necessary resources needed. And you keep going, and it's a mindset you must have. You keep going. Then gradually, you can transition from the new media into traditional radio or media or TV if you want to. So the way the world has become, there are various strategies that you can use to start your business without necessarily needing physical significant amount of cash. And I'm going to share this with you in the next episode so you will understand this very well. But how much resources do you need and what other resources do you require? Because you see, succeeding in business is not just about the money. Which people do you need? So your team, your co-founders, you need people around you. How much are you going to pay them? You need to know. And that is where many people, again, fail in business because they feel like, yo, I want to be the boss. I want to be the boss. I want to own 100%. No. I'll rather own 10% of a business or 5% of a business. But I'm bringing in people with expertise, with knowledge, with funding so we can build something bigger. That's better than owning 100% of the pie. That is securing resources. So you realize that, again, entrepreneurship is not about, as I said, buying sanitary parts and selling in front of your house. That's not what we are talking about here. We are talking about you being able to have a vision of 15, 20 years where you're going to build something big. It's about building a bonfire, something big that will take care of you, your children, and your grandchildren. The same thing is leverage. Listen, whatever business you want to go into, there are a lot of opportunities available for you to leverage. For instance, are there any government policies or tax incentives available that you can leverage? That's there. As I was telling you earlier, if you are below 35 in Ghana and you go into IT, agro-processing, waste processing, and some other businesses, there are quite a number of tax incentives that you can take. And there are various other tax incentives available that you can leverage on to reduce your tax liability as a business owner. So that GRA will not be at your neck every time. HMRC will not be at your neck every time. So are there any policies available from the government that you can leverage? Leverage is key to building any successful business. And as I said, I'm going to be sharing a lot with you about this later on in the next episode, because if you learn to leverage people's skills, people's resources, people's relationship, and they are also benefiting from the outcome, that is how you can build a successful business at the end of the day. Number 7 is establish your winning proposition. Why will your product or solution win against companies or players already in the market? Why? Why should people listen to you? Why should people buy your product? So whatever business you want to go into, what is it that makes you different? What gives you the competitive edge? What is your winning proposition? Why should people buy from you? What are they going to get when they buy from you? Number 8, you got to commit to the journey. Listen, how long are you willing to work? And what are you willing to sacrifice to make the business successful? This is what I was talking about. You need to ask yourself, can I be on this journey for the next 10, 20 years? Some people think, oh, they're going to start a business. And listen, in the next 6 months, they will start making money. No. You may start a business, and for the first 3 years, you're not making anything. And that 3 years, all you are doing is you are taxiing on the runway. You're just building momentum. Like the bamboo, you are just building roots. 3 years, nothing has taken off. 3 years, stress and 3 years, nothing is going on. 3 years, if you don't have long-term goal, you don't have the willingness, you don't have the capacity and the skin to be an entrepreneur, you're going to abandon the vision early. Because you can be on this journey. When you started, you thought within 6 months you will start making money. But it's not coming. Because when you start the business, you realize that you are advertising, nobody is coming. You are pitching businesses, nobody wants to do business with you. You get one customer today, then your next customer will come next month. But you know there is potential for this. You know there is potential for this. You know your solution is the best. You know your solution is better. How long are you going to be on this journey? And as I said, maybe 3 years, you are not making any money. How will you survive? Can you take the ridicule? Can you take the persecution? Can you take the insult? Because your wife, your husband, your children, your family members, your friends, they're going to make mockery of you. Hey, I see he's an entrepreneur. Look at him. Look at how miserable his life is. Look at how miserable his life is. Look at how his life is. He is stressed. Every day running a business, we can't see the outcome of the business. Yes, because sometimes it's going to require building the roots, building momentum, taxiing on the runway. And it's going to take time. But if you are patient, you are willing to go the extra mile, then you will realize that you are going to take off. And when you take off, nothing can stop you. Why? Because you've built the momentum. You've built the route. You've done all there is to be done. So now that you have taken off, nothing can stop you. But it's a mindset you must have that you won't succeed overnight. You will not start any, I don't care who tells you what. You will not start any business and in 6 months you will start making money. You will not. 99.9% of the time, you will not. The question is, how long can you keep going even though you are not seeing profit now? But you know there is potential for growth. How long will you keep sacrificing? How long will you keep working hard without any returns now, but you know you are building the roots? You are building momentum to take off in the future. How long? All we are saying here is this. The goal is one, to achieve financial freedom. The goal is one, to live life on your own terms. But there are two philosophies here. You can be an investor, and the focus is you deploy capital. Your primary asset is going to be money and your expertise. The core activity required here is analysis and allocation. The approach is a hands-off approach. The mantra here is, let your money work for you. The second philosophy is being an entrepreneur. Here, you are building system. The primary asset is yourself, your vision, your skills. The core activity here is creation and execution. The approach here is hands-on. The mantra here is you are betting on yourself. Both paths lead to the same destination, that is financial freedom. The question is, which path suits you? Don't let anybody brainwash you to leave your well-paying job and start a business. Don't let anybody brainwash you to stay at your job and not go after your dreams. You must sit down and, armed with the various things we've shared in this podcast, ask yourself, which of these two routes will be best for me? Based on my personality, based on what I'm looking at, if either of the two will still take me to financial freedom, which of them do I want to have? But you must understand, whichever option you choose, you need to have an understanding. You must understand the competition. You must know the tax implication. You must know the exit option. You must assess your risk appetite. And then certainly, you must plan for the uncertainties, because the unexpected event will definitely happen. And these are the things you must understand on the podcast today. Let me hear from you if you have any questions, something you would want me to expand more on. Maybe there is a part of this discussion that you are like, hey, Nhyira, I would want to hear more of this area. I would want to hear more of this particular area. Put it in the comment section or the chat box, and I will be looking at it in the next episode. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you on the next episode.